Georgia and Alabama. Do you think that's the biggest game in college football this season? I don't. And our friends over at ESPN don't think so either. They go with Texas, Ohio State. But here's my question for you. They've got Georgia, Alabama at number 2. And I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, is Georgia, Texas bigger than Georgia, Alabama? Is Penn State, Ohio State bigger than Georgia, Alabama? What about Oregon, Penn State? Oregon, Penn State, Georgia, Alabama are on the same day. They both are on September 27th. So that's actually a great weekend of college football. I will break that down in a little bit. I mean, that is a really good weekend of college football. But Alabama and Georgia, we can't sit here and act like they are like they used to be 3 years ago. I mean, 3 years ago, coming into the 22 season, they had just played for the national championship, as you recall, this game. Georgia won it. And Alabama was all out for revenge, or whatever the notion was at the time. And they didn't get the SEC championship game because they lost to LSU, I think, in overtime or the last play of the game, whatever it was. And then, Georgia smoked LSU by 20, went on to survive Ohio State by a point a play, and then went on to win the national championship by throttling Texas Christian. And so here we come into the 2025 season. Our 2025 preview is going to be out in about a month. Order now. I'm only ordering so many copies. Annual subscribers at Dawg Post are getting this in the mail. You make sure you get yours, because when I run out, I run out. The link is down below. You see the QR code on the screen. We are not done with the magazine, but it's laid out and ready to roll. So pick that up. Gunner is on the cover. Will Gunner be? The suspicion is that Gunner Stockton will be starting when Georgia plays Alabama. We got a long way to get, and we'll see who Alabama's starting. It's not like they have a deficit at quarterback. They'll have a new one. But this game is not like it was. I mean, look, having been to more than my fair share of Georgia-Alabama games through the years, they almost all have a bigger feel to them than so Georgia-Bama, they don't play every year. They have not ever played every year. That is not what they are. They're not, rivals. As it relates to, Georgia has 3 rivals. They have Florida, Auburn, and Tech. That's it. Alabama has the traditional Iron Bowl rivalry with Auburn. They have, Tennessee third weekend, and they have nickname. If you got a nickname, it's a rivalry. If you don't, you're forcing it. So Georgia and Bama, to call them rivals would be a stretch, I guess you could say, in the actual sense of the word. But when they've met, they've been huge games. You think about Vince Dooley beating Bear Bryant in the 60s after Alabama won the national championship. That was a huge win for Georgia over Alabama. 1976 in Athens, Georgia smokes Alabama. I think it was 21-0 or whatever the score was. Go on to win the SEC championship game. That was one of the biggest games in Sanford Stadium history. They don't play again until the two teams meet up. I think they played in '84, and there was a ABC, Monday night game that was a huge deal in the early '80s. But Alabama never played Herschel Walker. That didn't happen. But anyway, Georgia goes down. It was 1985. Georgia. In 1984, went down to Alabama and beat them. It's not a great Alabama team. And then they started the season off against one another in 85. Bama, I think it was Mike Shula, comes down and gets the game-winning drive as the two teams open the season with one another. And from that point forward, they only played 2 more times when there weren't divisions. Georgia beating Alabama on the last play of the game in 1990, and then 91, Alabama 10-0 win. Must have been one of the most boring games ever. 94, Alabama kicking a game-winning field goal. This is all going on memory. In 94, to beat Georgia down there in Tuscaloosa. They beat Georgia in Athens, a beating 31-0. Then Georgia goes down and wins man enough game in 2002, 2003. Georgia really pummels Alabama. And then and that was in Athens. Tuscaloosa, one and done, Matthew Stafford and Mikey Henderson. That was nuts on the field. And then the blackout, which was Georgia's funeral. And then multiple wins in a row by Alabama in the SEC championship game. The blowout in Sanford Stadium. The win on the last play of the game for the national championship in 2018. The win on the last play of the game, essentially, in 2018 in the SEC championship game. The really solid beating, I would say, in the fourth quarter in 2020, the COVID game. Then the same score, 41-21 in Atlanta. And then Georgia beats them 33-18 in 22. And then two classic games after that in 23 and 4. Bama won the SEC championship game in 24-20. 27-24, and then 41-34 in one of the best college football games of this century. Georgia losing 41-34. These teams have played a lot lately for some serious cash. 12 for the SEC championship, national championship at the conclusion of the 17th season, SEC championship at the conclusion of the 18th season, SEC championship at the conclusion of 21, national championship season, a couple months after that. 2 seasons later, they play in the SEC championship game. Yada yada yada. They couldn't have played in 24 because Alabama lost to Oklahoma. That put Georgia in the SEC championship game, but against Texas, which they then won. But these two teams, I'm sidetracking here, giving you the entire history. These two teams. They only played 4 times in the 70s. They only played twice in the 80s. They only played 4 times in the 90s. They don't play each other all the time. That's the problem is, as good as, think about this. Alabama won back-to-back national championships in 78 and 79. Georgia won it in 80. They did not play from 78 to 84. They didn't play. So that was the way it was in the SEC at the time. But now we get this game again, okay? It's in Athens. It's going to be, hyped up beyond belief. That Nick and Kirby worked together at Alabama and that whole thing tied together. There's all sorts of stuff you can talk about. There's all sorts of stuff that you can weave together. But these two, the problem with it is, as good as they are the top 2 programs in SEC history. At this point. Okay, I don't think I could have said that 10 years ago, but you can now. And when they play, it matters. But I got to say, putting it as the number 2 game of the year coming into the season, I don't know if I buy that. Now, let me just say this about that weekend, and I will stop rambling because I know how I get. You know why the SEC is not like everything else? You want to guess how much the ticket is right now in middle May for Georgia-Bama versus what it is for Oregon-Penn State? This is why these things are not at all the same. Oregon-Penn State right now is $185 on the secondary market. That's a lot. Georgia-Alabama is $438. Hello. That is some serious cash. You are really, and then Georgia, Texas is $449. That's a lot. That's what I would say. I'm just looking for Michigan, Ohio State here, which I can't easily find. And, Michigan, Ohio State, $450, $457. That's why you got multiple games at one stadium that are the same as one Big Ten big showdown. And the other Big Ten game that was such a big deal in the year, Ohio State, when Oregon comes across the country, just not nearly the hype up. $185 to watch. I wouldn't pay money to watch Penn State play live. No thanks. That weekend, by the way, Oregon, Penn State. You've got Ohio State at Washington. That's a great game, by the way. And then the usual slate of SEC. Auburn at A&M, Kentucky, Carolina, Tennessee State. But LSU Ole Miss with that freak show, both sides. And Georgia, Bama. And also, you get this cherry on top. Notre Dame going to Arkansas. A game they should certainly win. But, when I look at when I look at all these games, like it's so dumb to put Boise at Notre Dame at number 6, but whatever, guys. Come on. Ohio State and Michigan, you're saying that's not better than Boise going to Notre Dame? Like, are we having a serious conversation? When y'all put Montana State, Montana, and South Dakota, North Dakota State, quit being baseball writers. You look like you look like it looks so stupid when y'all do that. I'm probably talking to people I know here, although I don't know that. No, stop it. But these top 5 games, yes. Oregon at Penn State, love it. Texas at Georgia, yes. Penn State, Ohio State, yes. Alabama at Georgia, yes. Texas at Ohio State. Texas at Ohio State is clearly the best game of the season. But like Boise at Notre Dame, come on, bro. Like, come on. Why? Because we never have seen Boise play at Notre Dame? Like, come on, man. Like, South Dakota at North Dakota State, stop it. We got to stop this stuff. But I don't know that. So there's so much with Georgia-Bama that is intriguing. But I find Penn State, Ohio State extremely curious. Oregon at Penn State, I find, but like, there's no doubting that Michigan, Ohio State is a very curious game to me. And I think, like LSU, Clemson's on this, not on this list. Like, for real? I don't know. But I want to vocalize. Georgia, Bama is not what it once was. And that's okay. I'm just saying, can it get to that now? Both teams got to do their part. It can't just be one of them.